Hey guys, welcome back to Eversoul. In today's video, we're checking out the Corrupt Chloe boss, giving you the best tips that I found out in the first 12 hours of the event to maximize your damage, especially as free to play, and get as many of those event currency as possible. It's looking quite promising with how much we can get, especially as free to play as well. Now, this is on my new channel, so if you've seen this just in recommended feed or something like that, this is the new channel that we're going to be doing Eversoul content on. So make sure you sub up to this one if you want to keep up with the Eversoul content, because we're just moving it all to this channel. So the first thing, what are we going to go through in this video? First, we're going to go through mercenary usage, because you can abuse mercenary usage in this boss, which is fantastic, really good for helping your scores. Then we're going to look at the mechanics. Actually, we'll probably look at the mechanics first, just to go through the very basics of what mechanics you got to follow. Then we'll go through the mercenary trick. Then we'll go through a team building type thing. And then I'll show you some results that I got with my free-to-play account with all level 105 units, all level 120 units, and then using just a mercenary with level 120 units and the kind of damage that I could achieve. So let's get into it. So first of all, let's just have a quick look at the strategy of the boss. And it's very, very basic. There's nothing much to it. So if we jump over here, this is on the replays because I've used all my attacks on both my accounts. So when you go into the boss, it's going to be very basic. She's going to use a bunch of different attacks. And when she rolls her eyes and purses her lips, that's when you want to pay attention. So here she's going to smack. And straight after this, she's going to roll her eyes and purse her lips. So you can see as soon as you see her do that, that's when you want to use a unit with the main skill to go ahead and stun her. Something like Haru or Ira, both really good options. And we can go here and we can, or Lindsay as well. And you can see I'm going to pretty much just spam on my Haru's ability. And there we go, we get her stunned. She goes into this break phase. And now we have our ultimate ability unlocked. We just got to generate it up. And then we can go ahead and use our ultimate ability and deal the damage. That is the basic principle behind the battle. You want to do it on manual because you want to get that. Not going to go too much more into it. It's just rinse and repeat, keep doing the same thing. That is the basic strategy behind the boss. It's very, very simple. So the next thing I want to talk about is mercenary usage, because this is the big one. So I said in my previous video that you couldn't use mercenary. So if you look in this one, I am using a mercenary here. We're using the Violet mercenary. So this run, I use the mercenary. We get through it. You can see we do some pretty decent damage, which we'll talk about in a minute. But then what I do is I jump back over here after I take some screenshots, just so I have them on hand, and I go into campaign. And this is where in my previous video I said I didn't think you could actually go into it, because as you can see, she's not there. I can't actually use her. So she's not there on the list of mercenaries that I can use. However, then I just reboot the game and then load it back up. And as you can see, she's back. So literally all you have to do is reboot the game and you can still use your mercenaries in campaign and everything like that. So using your mercenaries in this event, there is no downside to it unless this gets changed. At the moment, it seems like mercenaries, fair game, go nuts. It's the best way to do it. Like, I know everyone has different levels of mercenaries that they can get, but most people have mercenaries that are better than what they can bring by themselves. So use them. Even if it's only 20 levels, use them. It's an advantage. So definitely make use of that. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is a bit of a team building thing. I've messed around with it here because I was messing around with some teams here. So let me just put it back in order and let me just chuck this all up here. So what we're looking at here is a basic formation of what I would suggest for teams. Now, keep in mind, once again, this is the first 12 hours. If a clear, distinct meta comes out that just dominates this hot boss, I will let you guys know and I'll let you guys know substitutes for it. But at the moment, in general, we've got sort of a little bit of a meta that we can look towards. Not a meta, just like a team composition strategy. So two things you must have in your team is one stun unit and one sustain unit. You need that. Basically, as you go on, the damage gets high and you need to have a healer to heal yourself. Number two, you're going to need a stun unit. And also, I forgot to mention, you can pause and restart the battle. So you can pause out of it and restart. I'd really like them to introduce like a test version, but you can pause the game and just go exit and it doesn't use your attempt. So you can always retry if you don't like what you're doing or you mess up. But yeah, you want to have a stun unit and a sustain unit. Stun so you can stun her when she rolls her eyes, and a sustain unit so you can survive. Now, these are the only two I've put in here. You could use, what's her face, Jiho as well, but I don't have Jiho on this tier list. So Talia, Prim, and Jiho are the 3 ones. The reason they're the 3 you use is because they're the offensive healers, basically. So you want offensive pressure along with your healers. Obviously, Prim provides the attack up. Talia provides the energy. And then Jiho will provide the haste. So all very good options. So those are 2 must-have units in your team, a stun unit and a sustain unit. Then we look at DPS. Now, Petra's one that I've seen some really solid damage numbers from. I think the max HP scaling must just work really well. Now, the reason I've put a lot of units in here is because basically it just depends what you've got built. A lot of people will have one of these things built a lot further, and that's probably the one you use. Now, I've put Naya in the end here because I know a lot of people have built Naya. Test her if you want, but this is normally the slot that I'd probably be picking up like a mercenary for your main DPS or one of your DPS units, or you can always end up just using some of these support DPS, which I'll talk about in a sec. But I know people have Naya built up, but honestly, I think she's going to be absolutely trash, so you can put her down there. She just doesn't have the single target damage that the others have, and she doesn't provide as much. I've seen a lot of people using Jack over here as being a solid option, but basically you can pick your DPS. Then you also want to have support DPS, because these 3 I've listed as the main support DPS because we've got Vivian with the haste buffing, we've got Nicole that increases your crit damage, she also deals massive damage herself, and then we've got Mephi who's going to increase your increase the amount of crits you get, but also decrease the enemy's defense. Now, I just want to add in that Ira is a really good support unit as well, because she does reduce the magical and physical resistance and defense of the enemy, and she provides the stun. I think Ira is a great unit for this. So I haven't decided who is the best stun, who is the best support. I think it's just one that you've just got to test, see what you've got, and play around, because everyone's team is going to be a bit different. And then we have the dot team, which we'll talk about, which is one that like I said, I was using. So if we wanted to form a team, we go, okay, we need a stun unit. Do you have Ira? No. Do you have Haru? No. Okay, you can use Lindsay. If you have one of the other 2, feel free to test them out. And like I said, everyone's team is going to be different, so test out whatever you have, and you might get different results. So take any one of them. But let's just say you only have Lindsay. Then we look at sustain. Let's say you spent the $1. You got the $1 pack. Okay, you've got a Talia. If not, do you have a Prim? If not, do you have a what's-her-face? If not, you might have to bring another healer that's more of a defensive healer. You can bring like a Clara or something like that, because we all have a free Clara. And then we look at DPS. Like I said, Petra's an option because he's quite solid. I've actually been using the I forgot her name. Sorry guys, I'm having trouble with names tonight. It's midnight, but you can bring her. She does pretty solid damage. I've been quite impressed. And then we want to look at bringing two support DPS to maximize our damage. Now, I don't have a Mephi on my account, so I can just bring something like, Nicole and Viv, and that's my team. So we've got our stun unit, we've got our support keeping us alive, and we've got our 3 DPS that also provide a bit of support for the rest of the team to help maximize the damage that the rest of the team can deal. That is basically what we're looking at. In this one, we also do have a 4-piece fairy bonus, which isn't too bad, maximizing our stat bonuses and getting us a 20% stat bonus. There is no, unless she has a stun, maybe she could be used as a stunner. I can't remember if she has a stun on her main skill. Maybe she does. She could be a stunner. But don't quote me. I can't remember. I'd have to double check her skills. But that's like a basic sort of team composition that we can look at. Once again, the non-negotiables that you have to have is going to be a stun unit and a support unit to live. Then just DPS and mix around with your account and see what you can maximize the DPS at. Then we look at the dot team. Now that was the team that I was using. Basically, it revolves around trying to use Violet, because she does more damage based on the dots on the enemy. You have Nini, who applies freeze and burn with one attack, so that's stacking dots. She increases the dot damage. These 2 I haven't tested, but obviously we've got bleeds and we got the spark or the lightning or the whatever they call it. The shock. She's got the shock. And then if you're doing that, because you've got 3 undead already, we'd just bring Prim. And then for the final slot, you've got 2 good options. You've got either Haru, because she brings a bleed, which is another dot, or we've got the Ira, who doesn't bring a dot, but she does reduce that physical magical resistance and also the defense, and those are your 2 stun units. So that's basically what we're looking at for team compositions. I really like that dot team. Like I said, it's what I used. But now I just want to jump over and look at some screenshots of what I managed to do on my accounts. So let's go over here. Where am I? What is this? This is not what I was looking for, is it? Maybe it is. Okay, here we go. I don't know, maybe I had an extra screenshot in there. So this one was the first one I tried. I had Adrienne in there. Adrienne really doesn't contribute much. That was just a bad placement by me. But as you can see, all level 104s, we ended up with 5 million damage. Now on this one, I was using Haru's ult because she's more invested and I had a better set of gear on her. However, maybe I could have used a Vivian ult and got more damage, but I'm pretty sure Haru's ult does the maximum damage because there's no one near the enemy. So it's pretty solid nonetheless. But like I said, these two have pretty close damage, so maybe I could have tried one of the other two. But, you know, you only get one try, and I wanted to see the results. I know you can count the bars that you do, but, you know, it's never the same. Like I said, I hope they implement a test version. So, you know, at level 104, getting 5 million, I was pretty happy with that. Then we go over here, and I swapped up my team, and as you can see, I put the Ira in the team, and I went basically full fairies with the Ira. Vivian is at 105 there as well, and I was using Vivian ult on this one. Once again, could have probably tried Miriam or Nicole on ulting, but we ended up with the 6.1 million damage at level 105 team, which I was pretty happy with. Now as we move on from that, this is that dot team that I was talking about that I used on my other account at level 120s, and we ended up with 7.6 million damage, so that wasn't too bad. Like I said, that team's a bit different. Once again, we were using the Haru in that one. Maybe we could have used an Ira and got better results. I don't know, but that was 7.6 million at level 120 with all my characters. And this is what happens when you put in the mercenary. Like I said, abuse the mercenaries because it's going to be good. We ended up with 14 million with all 120s and a 180 mercenary. And like I said, all you got to do is relog your game and your mercenaries will still be there. You can still use them in campaign and everything else. If that does get patched, watch out for it. But in general, mercenaries, you're crazy not to use them. But I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to go through. Like I said, use the mercenaries, very important. Bring a stun, bring a support, and then mix around the DPS on what you have on your account. And you should be able to get some pretty solid damage and end up getting a lot of the event currency to get a pretty good chunk of stuff from the store. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.